The US can no longer be a bystander after knowing the CCP's deeds. Big things are happening to all the policies made by the US Federal Reserve. The International Monetary Fund IMF has so many Chinese employees. Do you see anyone in the IMF who is not pro-CCP? The same with all the people working for the World Bank. Can you find anyone from these organizations who is not manipulated by the CCP through the BGY plan? Including the World Trade Organization. Let's not even mention the United Nations. The US Federal Reserve has been infiltrated by the CCP. When I was in Washington, D.C. in 2016 and 2017, I said to them US officials, see those buildings of the Department of the Treasury across the street, including the Federal Reserve and the Department of Defense, all are infiltrated by the CCP. I have met many people from the US Federal Reserve. I told them, your organization has been infiltrated by the CCP. At the end of 2014, not long after I arrived in the UK, I met with the officials from the US Department of State and the White House. One of them was in charge of national security and China affairs. We met in London. I said, if you guys don't believe that the CCP will become a threat to all areas of the US, you can go look into the US Department of Treasury, the US Federal Reserve, the US Congress, and the US Senate, to see how many of your people have been working with the CCP. In terms of the CCP's infiltration into the US Federal Reserve, an expert on Asia and China, who was also a high-ranking official in the White House serving as a strategic advisor, asked me, what can the CCP obtain? I said, all the information about the US financial strategies and policies. The CCP wants all of them. I added, Communist China has been prepared to confront the US in the area of digital currency. The CCP aims for leading the world in all aspects, including the quantum technology besides the digital currency. I was considered a psychopath at that time. Until today, everything I've told them has become true. For the US Federal Reserve, after understanding being infiltrated and imperiled by the CCP, it is like a person who suddenly found out that his enemy had placed many time bombs in his body. How would you expect him to react? All the information about the US Treasury bonds, monetary policies, annual plans of domestic economy, and authentic data have all been acquired by the CCP through all kinds of approaches such as pillage, intimidation, and the BGY plan. Thus, the US Federal Reserve will absolutely square up with the CCP this time and destroy the digital RMB. In order to survive, the US Federal Reserve will confront the CCP on a global scale. The influence will be tremendous.